Hi everyone, here we are. It's our Ask Us Relationship Series 2, Episode 3. My name is Natasha and I'm a family relationships coach.
And I'm Diana. I'm a self-leadership mindset coach.
And together we provide guidance on navigating relationships from our expertise and personal experiences as life coaches. Should you find yourself in need of any professional mental health assistance, we strongly encourage seeking therapy or counseling support. But if our insight resonates with you and you're interested in individual or group coaching, feel free to contact us via Instagram or join our Facebook community. We will add the link in our description. So, yeah, let's start this episode, which is all about resentment with parents and hurt. So, let me start with the question. The question is, so our audience is asking, should I confront my parents about their past behavior that's causing me resentment, even though it might hurt their feelings?
Wow.
What's your take?
Yeah. This is a very delicate topic because it happens to many of us, right? Um, so I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I do believe that in your pursuit of understanding and I'm assuming ultimately your healing, it's really very important to approach conversation about your parents' past behavior with compassion and self-reflection. So those two things are going to be very, very important navigating this. I would begin with assessing your readiness, your emotional readiness, and give yourself the needed space for reflection, to feel and acknowledge your emotion, especially without judgment. So, because understanding what happened, approaching it with non-judgment will give you a clearer understanding of where to go. So look at it like looking at or approach this journey as if you're looking at a map, right? So you're understanding.
Mhm.
So because when you get clear also with your intention behind why you're seeking answers, it will help you become more stronger and focus. So if your intention behind why you're trying to confront your parents, whether this be foreclosure, purely understanding, or personal growth, or are you aiming to make them recognize their wrongdoings by holding up this mirror to their actions? So, and creating awareness of the pain they've caused you. So, knowing your intention will give your conversation with your parents very clear roadmap, right? So
Mhm.
if you're unclear, though, I would really consider seeking support from a therapist or a coach, because this is not going to be easy. This is not an easy journey, and they can be, your coach or your therapist or whoever that really can support you, can be your compassionate ally. So if you decide to confront them, anticipate a response, like a spectrum of responses from both you and your parents, because approaching the conversation with an open heart um, will create some openness and beautiful what do you call this, a beautiful interaction rather than reaction,
Mhm.
right? So um I do, prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being, and trust that the journey, though it's important for personal growth, doesn't require your parents to say or do what you wish. So this is where it gets really complicated, because our ancestors often carry family and legacy burdens. And
Mm.
that often becomes a behavioral pattern for future generations until someone realizes that change is needed. Perhaps it's you, like it might be you. You might be the person
Yeah.
your family needs to break the pattern and initiate the change required to heal the family wounds. And you don't need your parents to be there. Forgiveness comes from acknowledging your hurt, going
Mhm.
through grieving process, letting go of resentments, and deciding not to participate in future unhealthy relationship because you deserve peace, you deserve the love, and you deserve the happiness. Healing needs to start from within you, not from outside. It is not going to come from your parents or whoever wronged you, because if they are still unaware or stuck in that pattern, and they are unaware of the impact of the behavior they had on you, you will get a different outcome than the ones you have in mind. So be
Mhm.
prepared with that, because these people might be still at the mercy of their own experiences and pain, so they will respond accordingly. This will take time. So change doesn't happen overnight, but trust that you have the strength within you to initiate the change you want to see in your life. And you don't have to wait for anyone, for your parents, for whoever to change. You decide that for yourself today. So that's my take.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that whatever's going through with you right now, if you go to confront your parents straight away, it will almost feel as like an attack
Mm.
because you haven't taken the time to think about it. What is the pain? Why is it hurting? Where? But I think this person is almost looking for the answer from their parents, right?
Mm.
Because if they are hurting now, say for example, it's me and I'm hurting and I'm really in that zone that I'm feeling, I'm acting this way because my parents did XYZ. I'm in so much pain right now that I almost want them to see that pain, and I want them to see that, look, I'm hurting and it's because of you. And I love what you said, that it's all about, compassion. It's all about having that compassion, going with non-judgment. It's not going to happen straight away, though, is it? And you said it's tough. It's a tough job.
It's a really tough job, especially the relationship, or however the nature of your relationship with your parents and how they see you, how you've been the pattern of your relationship in the past. So this is where you really need to stop and reflect on what is motivating you to seek answers, because your parents might not have the answer. They
Hmm.
might not be aware of what they've done, and you're trying to put that mirror onto them to make them realize what had happened and the impact it had on you, and they might not be ready.
Yeah.
And so the conflict will happen because um, you want them to take full responsibility for what happened, but you also have a responsibility towards yourself to take care of your well-being and decide in this moment that I recognize that my parents might not be ready to see what happened, and that's okay. So give that compassion and understanding that they might be asleep right now, in realizing what they've done. And people who are often asleep will give rational reasons to why they did what they did, because they don't have the capacity to understand the impact of that they had on their kids or whoever they wronged.
Yeah.
So you don't need to ask people to recognize your pain for the people that cause the pain. It's almost very abusive to go in that loop, because you're asking them to change so that you feel better. It won't work that way. You decide today, you wake up one morning, and so you realize, it's like, I realize my parents caused me this pain. Now the pattern I see that I'm repeating, and I don't like that about myself. Decide today that this is the last day. This is the moment you're actually going to be the pattern changer, the pattern breaker in your family, that this is no longer going to continue beyond you. This is where it stops. And so the change happened with you.
Yeah.
And that you build the boundary, and recognize that you are no longer going to participate in the kind of interaction you had with your parents, and that building the boundary and telling them that what they have been doing is not okay, and this is how you will initiate the change you want to see in your life. Decide what kind of life you want for yourself. Decide what kind of relationship you're going to have with your parents. And sometimes it hurts me to say this, because this happened to me, that you really cannot force people to change. You really can't. And no matter how much you try, and if the other people are not ready to change, you can't make it happen. You are going into a vicious loop of codependency, trying to make them change so that you feel better. You are just going to suffer more than necessary. So really understand, we're really going into a deep reflection, and you could do this with a coach or a therapist, so you can start your healing and understand what it is about your parents' pattern that you don't want to carry forward, and what kind of new behavior that you want to initiate in your life, so that you can actually build a life that will deserving and happier and in alignment to the person that you actually want to become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And from what you said is just going into this conversation and confronting them, it might mean, as if you haven't worked on it, it might look like blame, shame, guilt, right? We're almost throwing, because it's painful and it's hurting us. If we haven't worked on those pains, we're going to be throwing it back at them. So now imagine someone throwing blame, shame, guilt, pain. How is the other person going to react? They're going to defend themselves, right? They're probably not going to take the blame and make you feel even more bad. Or if they have been feeling it already, they might accept it. But again, as this person said, it might hurt their feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the possibility that will happen, that in order to alleviate your pain, you might be hurting other people. Like, I always see it this way, right? Just so that we can put it into like real perspective. This is how I would see it. So just imagine that you have a wound on your hand, right? And it's a very deep wound, really deep. Right now, you've just put a band-aid on top and covered it just so it doesn't get scraped. But when you open it, it's deep. And sometimes even, it's still fresh. It might be bleeding as well, right? So what are you going to do now? You can see the wound. Are you going to go to your parent and say, this is the one you caused it to me? What should I do with this? What will you do with it? Are you going to go to your parents and say, look, it's bleeding, it's deep, it's painful, and you did that, you stabbed my hand? Right? How is parent going to react? Either they might say, well, I didn't do that, right? Or they might go like, oh my God, yeah, I can see. And in that process, if you've gone straight to them, it might hurt you even more because it's still raw, it's still deep. Or rather, you can start healing that. Go to a professional if you can't heal it yourself. Go to a doctor. Ask them to see it. How can you start healing that wound, right? And then tend to it yourself every day, every time you can, and keep it safe, keep it clean, keep it dry. And that's when you start healing. You start healing, you start healing. And one day when you meet your parent, you could say, if you've already started healing it, right? Now you could say, remember that time when this happened and that happened? I felt this way and this way. I know you did the best you could at that time, but I just want you to know. Can we have a conversation about it? Now you can have that compassionate conversation, right? And knowing that I'm responsible, I'm healing my hand, and I'm just having a heart-to-heart conversation with you rather than hoping that they are going to do something with that wound.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Much like that finger, you look like you had a injury.
Yeah, exactly. This it's like perfect timing, right? Oh
Right.
gosh, but I ran to my son. I was like, help me with this.
Yeah, right. That's why when I said, you have to be aware of your emotional readiness, it's really, really important, and your
Yeah.
intention as to why you're seeking answers. And if you don't have those answers, go to a different route first until you cultivate the strength and the courage that you can actually speak about the pain and the hurt. Because if you can't speak about the hurt in a more clearer way, you're going into a vicious loop of blame and shame and guilt. And as we know, that doesn't really take you anywhere. And the other thing too that I wanted to add is that as children, our interactions with our parents is one of, a one-sided way from, in my view, it's often one-sided, and parents are often there thinking that they're doing their best, they're providing, they're nurturing, and children often follows because we don't have the capacity to take care of ourselves. So our interaction is all often following what our parents often say and do and ask us to do, right? So, and then we become aware of how we interact with our parents, and when during those moments of little interactions, we build a perception of how the world works alone. It's often in our quiet moments where, oh, I had this time with my mom or my dad, she or he said this. So, oh, okay, maybe my parents really didn't care about me, or my parents really love me, or whatever, how you form your perception about your relationship with your with your parents. Um, and that becomes what you take in your adulthood, and thinking like this is how the world works, that when I behave a certain way, my parents reacted a certain way, therefore the world will react this way, right? So becoming aware of those moments that they did and said what they said and did in that moment because of they know in that moment, and that you don't have to carry that for a lifetime. You don't have to, you get to choose and decide what's okay and what's not okay, and proceed with your life with your own with your own design, right? With your own,
Yeah.
you could be the architect of your life and decide, like, all of this learning and experiences that you've had, have you arrived in this moment in an awareness that you have the power to change, to live a life that is aligned with your values and your purpose. Yeah.
Yes, but equally hard to make sense and to move forward when we are not willing to let go,
Mm, yeah.
right? If we are not willing to let go that this or forgive, right? Forgiving, to let go and to forgive that person for whatever they did in that time. As you said, it's because they were trying their best with the best of the knowledge they had.
Yeah.
Why do we question this? They never questioned their parents, if you think about it, right? Our parents never questioned their parents. Why? Because they didn't have any new knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we questioning it now? It's because we are gaining this new knowledge. You know, there's social media, there are so many books and podcasts now easily accessible, available. So we get this knowledge. It's the time that we make use of this knowledge. They didn't have it,
Mm-hmm.
but they did the best they could with what they had. We have to do with the best we can with all the resources we have.
Yeah.
So why not let go of that and move forward?
Yeah. 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 Forgiveness is a mountain itself to climb, right? It's a journey you have to take on with the intention of healing and understanding for yourself and other people. And when you decide that you're going to embark on a forgiveness journey, you better be prepared for what's to come, because the journey to healing requires a lot of digging through deep emotional um, journeys that you've buried for a very long time, and that you are going to be facing those difficulties. And I remember this passage in Jay Shetty's book where, you're in the attic and there's this mirror and it's full of dust, right? And you couldn't even see yourself. You couldn't even see. And then once you start to clean and dust it off, like blow on the dust off the mirror, you can start to begin to notice who you are and who is in the other in that mirror that's reflecting you. And you have the choice and power to make how clean you want that mirror to be, right? It all starts from within. And the process of forgiveness is it's not easy, but it's so worth it, because it frees you from the limitations of your family burdens and legacy that has been passed on through generations and generations. And you can stop the pain, because now, like what you said, you acquire a lot more understanding, a lot more awareness, and more experiences and exposure to books and knowledge and podcasts and all of that, and to help you navigate it. And in the past, this would have been a no discussion, right? Now it's everywhere you look. The reels are all about self-empowerment. You go with your
YouTube, these kind of YouTube videos.
yeah. That's right. So using that to leverage you, and help you um, gain the strength and the awareness needed, so that the conversation that you have with your parents can be one of powerful compassionate, empathetic, and loving space. And if they're not ready to receive that and participate in that kind of interaction, you have to come back to yourself and decide that, okay, they're not ready, and that's okay, but I am. This is the day I'm going to move forward with my life and how I want to build my life and build my happiness, and so that I could be, live a life that is more meaningful rather than full of resentments. Life is too short. Take it from me. When I survived cancer, it's very weird to say that death has knocked on my door, and I tasted it for a moment when I was given 50% to live. And in that moment, I realized that my healing starts today. Because if I'm giving a second kick at the can at life, I better make it worth it. And it has been a fight for freedom, both emotionally and intellectually and physically, to be free of really cutting off that shackles of those pains that I've experienced as a child. And I realized that I deserve better. And when you realize that you deserve better, you do better.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. I love that. And yeah, so let's together heal. Let let us together let go of the resentment
Yeah.
and build a beautiful future for us and our children,
Yes. Yeah.
so they can grow up
Yeah.
without that ancestral wound, right?
Mm.
Because mom or dad, they took the time to heal that wound and they
Yeah.
didn't give it to us.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And you're not alone. You're not alone in this journey. This is one of the most normal, typical challenges that we have. And if you're having difficulty navigating this, please, please, please seek professional help, so that you could have a safe space where you can just let it all go, because that's when it starts to, that's where your healing begins, because letting it all out, not bottling it will create some deeper understanding of where you've been, how this pattern is limiting you from living the life that you deserve, to then creating a map towards a future of a life that you deserve, a life filled with meaning and fulfillment and happiness and joy, and facing challenges that your experience in the past and your interactions with the world has now helped you become the person that you are today, and to send some gratitude in those people. No matter how difficult they are, they have taught you something, and strengthening, build that resilience in you, that you decided that at some point in your life, you've decided to change, right? And then live that life, have some hope, manifest the life that you want, and be excited about that, and break free from the shackles of the past, because the past have already happened. That belongs in there. It doesn't have to come here. Extract all the knowledge that what you've in that experience, and then bring it forward with a smile and gratitude, that these are the lesson I've learned in that experience, and this is how I'm going to move with that. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So here we end today's episode. Um, we will put the link in the description, but keep your eyes peeled. We have our next upcoming workshop, which is a group workshop on love languages, right?
Oh,
understanding and how we can communicate our love languages to our loved ones. So yeah, we are excited. We are excited to build the workshop and to put it together. So we look forward to seeing you guys. So join us, join our group, and let's make a difference.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.